Hello, my dear friends. In today's video, I want to talk to you about the newly elected head of the Syro Catholic Church, Bishop Raphael Tatil from the Shamshabad Diocese in Telangana. The election of the new Archbishop was necessitated after the resignation of Cardinal Alanjeri, who was previously heading the Syro Church. He was the auxiliary bishop of Thrissur until 2017, when Pope Francis appointed him as the first bishop of the newly created eparchy of Shamshabad. After being elected, he gave his first interview to Shalom World, discussing his plans and vision for the future of the Syro Church. Some of the things that the bishop said was truly inspiring, but others were troubling and concerning. In the first clip, contrary to popular idea, Bishop Raphael says that the vocation of being a leader requires you to carry the cross. That is quite an interesting perspective to have as he takes up this new role as the leader of the Syro Church. Let's listen to what he has to say.
And I request all the people who are listening me and seeing me, pray for me because I have taken a big cross and I need your role as Veronica and Shemayon to reach my Calvary.
Many in the clergy aspire for leadership roles so that they could be bestowed with power, fame, respect, and authority. However, it's really encouraging to know that Bishop Raphael is not one of them. His view that leaders are called to carry their cross perfectly aligns with the Christian interpretation of the cross, embodying sacrifice, redemption, selflessness, and a commitment to overcome challenges for the greater good of people. All of the above are necessary qualities for a good leader. Jesus in Matthew 23:11-12 says, "The greatest among you will be your servant, for those who exalt themselves will be humbled, and those who humble themselves will be exalted." For Bishop Raphael, leading the Syro Church is indeed going to be a very heavy cross to carry, given the recent upheaval regarding the liturgical practices and the disunity it has caused among the faithful and the clergy. In the upcoming clip, Bishop Raphael states that he wants the Syro Church to be more than a Malayalam church. As many of you are aware, one of the primary reasons to having a separate Syro rite for Catholics in Kerala is rooted in their long-standing traditions, practices, and language. So I find it intriguing that Bishop Raphael is considering introducing English and other languages to appeal to the younger generation and move away from their long-standing traditions. Let's listen to what he has to say.
Elderly generation have a fascination and affection for language. But the Syro Church is not a Malayalam church. So I think that Syro Church should be far-sighted.
Okay.
We have to include everybody. Only 13 dioceses are in Kerala. In India, 18 dioceses are outside Kerala. And 4 dioceses are outside India.
Yeah.
So Syro Church is very minimum in Kerala. Number-wise big.
Okay.
But numerically, the number of dioceses, we have more outside Kerala. Therefore, we shall not reduce Syro Church as a Malayalam church. We have to open to other languages, especially with the younger generation. I have the experience that the elders all come to the Malayalam Kurbana. But newly married couples, young couples, and those youngsters beyond teenage, they prefer to go to Latin church, not because they love Latin, right? Because they get it in English.
Absolutely.
And their own language, which they can understand.
So my first question is, will change in language immediately draw all young people back to the Syro Church? I doubt it, because given the recent history of the Catholic Church, after the Second Vatican Council, the Church allowed the celebration of Holy Mass in vernacular languages in the Latin Rite. Are young people flocking to the Latin churches? Absolutely not. So this idea that if Syro liturgy is in English, then young Kerala Christians will flock back to the Syrian churches is a misplaced solution for the broader issues facing our youth today. Secondly, Bishop Raphael suggests that many young Malayalis who migrate to other countries outside of India attend Mass in Latin Rite primarily because it is in English. While English is a factor, there are numerous other reasons such as convenient Mass timings, shorter duration of the Mass, greater exposure to Catholics from various cultures, proximity of Latin churches, and mostly because young Catholics prefer Latin Rite more than the Syrian Rite. And my final question is, Bishop Raphael wants the Syro Church to be reaching out to everyone and be as cosmopolitan as possible. If that is the case, why do we have a separate rite catering to a specific community of people confined to one state in Kerala, speaking one common language, which is Malayalam? I don't understand why Bishop Raphael strongly feels that the Kerala Catholic migrants should attend the Syro-Malabar Church. What is the Syro-Malabar Church offering the migrants in other countries that the Latin Church is not? If your answer is tradition, then why are you compromising on the language and changing the liturgy to English? In my perspective, the Syro-Malabar Church should focus on serving the Malayalam-speaking community in India and empower them to be shining light wherever they go around the world. Okay, moving on to the next clip, Bishop Raphael talks about the rich traditions of the Syro-Malabar Church and why it is necessary for the Kerala Catholics to embrace it. Let's listen to what he has to say.
If they don't follow the rich tradition of their church, what happened to the Latin Church will also happen to the migrants.
Oh,
So migrants are to be very much empowered to live their tradition,
mm-hmm.
so that they can not only help the Syro-Malabar Church but also give a hand to the Latin Church.
Oh, okay.
If they are simply integrated as Latins, what happened to the Latin Church will happen to the Syro-Malabar Church.
Now, it's okay for the bishop to expect the Kerala Catholics to hold on to the traditions of the Syrian Rite. But saying if they don't follow, they will become like Latin Catholics, it's not okay. I find that statement to be unfair and derogative to Latin Catholics. What is he intending to say about Latin Catholics? Somehow we don't practice the Catholic faith as well as the Syro-Malabar Catholics? There are good and faithful Catholics both in the Syrian Rite and in the Latin Rite. Whether they go to the Latin Church or the Syrian Church, their faithfulness depends on their cooperation with God's grace and their willingness to work for their salvation. I don't understand what some random tradition got to do with this. Now coming to the final clip. Bishop Raphael was asked how he was going to heal the wounds in the Syro-Malabar community, and his answer was very interesting and thoughtful. Let's listen in.
Told me the most uneconomic parable of Bible is the lost sheep.
Oh,
And I said, that is the economics of the mystery of salvation. Nobody shall not be lost.
mm-hmm.
Every should be brought back. So, I may not be able to give so much for the people who stand with me, because they are already with us.
Okay. Nice.
They are, but at the same time, those who are not with us, not only with the liturgical issue, otherwise also there are a lot of people have a lot of grievance against the policies of the church or the ministries rendered by the church. So here I would like to tell you, my policy will be to go behind the lost sheep.
Wow. Excellent.
As many of you are aware, the Syro-Malabar Church is experiencing significant division among both laity and clergy rooted in liturgical differences. Because of this, the rival groups have engaged in nasty fights and protests. As a consequence of that, many are wounded, some harboring resentment, some feel distant from the church. Given that, Bishop Raphael's approach of reaching out first to those who feel lost is truly commendable, and I feel it's a good starting point towards uniting the Syro-Malabar community. As Bishop Raphael highlights, the parable of the lost sheep is one of the most counterintuitive stories in the Bible. No sensible businessman will leave the 99 to go in search of the one lost. But in the economy of God, the one who is lost gets the highest priority. It's heartening to see that as the leader of one of the largest Catholic communities in India, Bishop Raphael is embracing the economy of God rather than conforming to the worldly strategies. As I conclude, I offer my sincere wishes to Bishop Raphael Tathil, praying for God's abundant blessings and good health as he begins this new chapter of leadership within the Syro-Malabar Church. May he be abundantly blessed by God.